Hi all, welcome to the video. In this video, we are going to talk about SSH connections in Google Cloud. So basically, SSH means secure shell, and it is a protocol for secure remote login to your VMs which are running in Google Cloud. And anywhere, if you have some VMs running, even the physical machines, if with VM runs, we can use SSH to log in. So in this video, I have discussed about Google Cloud. So basically, with the help of public and private key cryptography, we can use SSH keys for authentication. So whenever you create a SSH key, it has two things. First of all, a public key and a private key. So we will see how to create SSH keys and how we can do SSH connections in Google Cloud. And basically, it is used to securely connect to our compute engine VMs. So basically, the SSH used for Linux VMs. For Windows, we use RDP. I will create another video for that. And in this, we don't need passwords. So basically, we need only like this public and private key to log into our VMs, and we can even manage via IAM also. So that is OS login. It is a different concept. And after that, we have metadata based keys. So this video I am talking about metadata based keys. In OS login, I will cover later on next part of this video. So if you want to use IAM, so then we have to use OS login. And basically, as I've told you, Compute Engine use key-based SSH authentication to establish connection to all Linux virtual machines. So like if we use Google Cloud Console or Google Cloud CLI to connect our VMs, so Google Cloud performs all this configuration on our behalf. We don't have to do anything. Google Cloud will take care of this. And if we are using like any third-party tools, like if you are logging from a local machine, like or you have like putty is there, you are trying to create a connection from that. So for that, we have to make sure like we provide our like public key to the Google Cloud so that we can create a connection. Also, we have to make sure when a user connects to a VM, that user can use all of the IAM permission granted to the service account attached to the VM. So suppose you have a VM in that he have a editor role, like compute engine default service account always has a editor role. So if you give any permission to a user, so once he log in, he can do all the things that the editor can do. So we have three methods. So IAM will cover all three: via console, via cloud shell, and via third party tools. So via console means when you click SSH button in the Google Cloud console, so it will create help us to connect to the our VM. So basically, it set a username for our Google account. So suppose if your email is something like this, cloudy San Francisco, so at the gmail.com, so it will create a username like this, and it will store our like public and private SSH keys in the browser session, and it has a expiry of 5 minutes. So after 5 minutes, if you try to reconnect, so it will create a new key. But if you have a session which is running like for an hour, it will not break. It will continue like kept on running. But if you like disconnect and try to reconnect, so it will create a new key. It will do at the backend only. We don't have to do anything. And Compute Engine uploads a public SSH key and username to the metadata. That's why we call this metadata based key. So it will update the metadata into our instance, in which it will tell the username and the key, public key, who has like tried to log into the VM. And from the metadata, Compute Engine retrieves the SSH key and username, and it creates a user account with that username. And like on the Linux VMs, it stores a public key in this location .ssh authorized keys on the VM, and your username is set as the username in your Google account. So basically this one. So it will like if this is your user email, it will create a username like this. And Google doesn't have access to your private key, so we don't have to worry at all for that. So this is the procedure for console. I know it is little bit confusing. I will show every step how it works at the backend. After that, for the cloud shell, so we like use gcloud compute ssh command, and after that your VM and zone name, all that. And compute engine sets a username and creates a persistent SSH key pair. So persistent means this SSH key pair doesn't expires. Like here we have expiry of 5 minutes, so there is no expiry. It will be like always the same key pair only until you do something like delete public or private keys. Then it creates, and it will set your username as that like as a username in a local machine, like that same which we have discussed here. And it will store our public key project metadata. So basically there are two metadata, and one is project, one is instance. So but if you don't have permissions to store your key in project metadata, it will store your instance metadata. That is not an issue. And if your compute engine can't store SSH key in the project metadata, like you are using block project SSH keys, we will see what it is. And it is set to true. So compute engine then stores the SSH key in the instance metadata. Also, your private SSH key is stored on a local machine. Machine, I will say cloud shell. So in that you can see your private key. So and it will no one can access that private key because that session is specific for you and it will always be there. So if you try to connect another VM in the future, like there are 10 VMs, so all can use the same key pair only. And like I told you, no, like SSH key doesn't have an expiry and it will use for all future connections unless we configure a new key. I will show you how this will happen. And compute engine uploads the SSH key and username to the metadata, and then from the metadata it retrieves all the things and create a user, and the public key will be stored here, the same which we have seen in the console. And again, Google doesn't have access to a private key. It will be in your like local session only, like cloud shell only. After that, we have third party tools. So if you are using like you have installed Ubuntu in your like in your machine, like I have you have enabled WSL and you have installed Linux in your Windows machine. From there also you can create a connection. So first of all, you have to create a key. Like this key, I have to use this command SSH keygen to create a key, and we have to upload the public key and username to the metadata. You can upload where like in the project metadata or instance metadata. It will depend how you want to connect. So if you upload into project metadata, what will happen? You can connect to any VM. And if you upload into instance metadata, then you can connect to that specific VM only. And the same thing again, it will do all that username and all that. And Google again doesn't have access to a private key. It will be in your local machine only. That is your Windows, like your personal computer. After that, for the permission thing, so if you have a VM as an internal IP, you have to give this specific role so that it can create a tunnel connection. And if we are using metadata one, metadata based SSH connection, which we are talking about in this video, this role is very important. We have to give this role so that it can set the metadata. And one more role is like service account user role. Never forget that role. And if you have a service account attached to your VM, so you need this specific role, service account user role. Whether you can provide that role at the project level or you can give that role at the specific service account level also. And we also need a firewall rule to enable connection from IAP. So if we are using IAP, we have to like create an ingress rule so that traffic can come from this specific range, like and after that it can use TCP forwarding. So I will suggest always use this rule only, like firewall rule, until your traffic is coming from the internet. That's okay. Then you have to only enable the specific IP from which the traffic will come. But traffic is not coming from the internet, then enable this rule and give this specific rule access via IAP. So their connection will be properly secured. It will create a tunnel to your VM. So I will show you everything. So let's go to console. And so basically I have two users. One is admin user and other one is test user. So as of now, if I go here and go to my compute engine, this is my test user in this screen. So I will do all the things from the test user and I will show what the permission issues you can face. So as of now, I have only viewer role on this test user. So if I go here and try to click any VM, like try to click SSH, and let's see what will happen. So basically it is giving me an error like I don't have this specific permission, compute instance set metadata. So I have two options, whether I can give this specific permission or I can use a predefined role also. So let's see what are the options we have. Let's go to IAM. So I am in my IAM. So I will just copy paste this role, compute instance set metadata, and it will show all that predefined role which have this specific role inside that. So like editor has this permission, computer admin has this permission. So if I click on computer admin, I can see it has 917 permissions. So it is a very broad role. There is so someone want to log in into a VM, so there is no means to give this kind of permissions. So like if you want to give another permission, if you see service agent, this is also 66 permissions. Better if we can create a custom role also. It depends how your organization want to use this specific role. So let's go on this. I have created a custom role. So in this role, I have only one permission, that is compute instance set metadata. So I'm going to give this permission this role to my user. So I will click on edit and I will click on add a role. So this is my custom role and I will click on save. Let me try again. So now it is giving me a error like I don't have this specific role. I am service account user role. So basically, if you have a like service account attached to your VM, so we need this specific permission to be given to the user. So I have the option whether I can give that permission on that on the specific service account, or I can give that at the project level also. So I will give on the project level because I don't have any production here, so I'm just testing it. So I'm just go here and click on another role and I will select. So I will select this service account user. So it runs operation as a service account. So I will click on and I will click on save. Try once again and let's see what will happen. It will help us to log in or not. So it is trying to log in. Now it will telling me like I will consider to use IAP. So basically it is asking me to use this specific permission. So what will happen if you use it will help us to connect via like create a tunnel between the connection so that traffic will be secured. And if you have VM have a like a private IP, then also you need this specific rule. So I will do one thing. First of all, let me remove the public IP from this VM and I will show you what will happen if you don't have this role. I have removed the public IP from this VM. You will see that this SSH button has been grayed out. So it will asking me to like I don't have an external IP on this VM, so it is asking me to give this specific permission like IAP tell instance access via IAP. So let's see about this permission in which role this permission is available. So let's go back and I will go to my roles once again and I will paste this specific permission and click enter. So we can see only two roles, predefined roles have this specific permission. One is this IAP secured tunnel user and one is owner role. So owner is very broad, you don't give owner role to anyone, and this is very like two permissions are there. So I am going to give the specific permission to my user. So I'm go back to my I am admin and I will click on add another role and IAP secured. So this is the role IAP secure tunnel user and I will add and click on save. So basically I have done like created three separate permission, but you can club these or permission into a single permission like a single role. So you can create a custom role and put all these permission into a single role. And after that, just provide a custom role to everyone who needs to log in into the VM. So it will create your job easy also. So you can see after giving the permission, this button has been enabled. Now I can log in into this VM also. So I will click on SSH. Even I've given all the permissions, but still it is not able to connect. So there is something still missing we have forgot. So that is the specific VPC firewall rules. So let's go to our console into my admin account and I will go to these firewall rules. So I have three VPC. In third VPC my VMs are running. So if I go to firewall rules and if I expand it and I can see I have a role SSH, but this role has been as of now disabled. So let's go inside this role and see what are the options we have. So I have disabled this specific role because that here traffic is coming from this specific range. So this is a very broad range. So anyone can from the internet try to hit your VMs to log in into to try to make a connection, whether it is succeed or not. But they if they will found your key somewhere, or there's many things that can be possible. So anyone can try to hit or try to log in into your VM. So instead of this, we will provide IAP range, which I've showed in the PPT. So if I go to PPT, and this is the range, which is the Google range. So we can provide this range, so traffic will be allowed only from this range. So when we create a connection from Google Cloud Console or Google Cloud CLI, and using IAP, so traffic will come only from this range. Just give this range. So let's go back, and I will click create firewall rule and I will give it allow SSH and this is my third VPC. This is the ingress traffic is coming inside. I will make it allow. Let me let me pull all instance in the network. This is the source range and I have only allowed TCP port 22 and just click on create. So basically if your VM has a public IP or not, I will suggest to give IAP role because it will be a very helpful thing and it will make your connection secured as always and just provide a specific firewall range only so that you can log in into your VM from your Cloud Shell and console. For the third party tool there are different things I will show you later on. So our firewall rule has been created. Now I will retry to make a connection. So I am able to log in into this VM. You can see this is my test user and this is the VM I have logged into. So now there will be two things which will happen at the backend. First of all, Google Cloud will save that our public key in that in this specific VM. So I told you, so in the console it will like save our key and in this location public key in this location dot ssh authorized key. Let's go and see. So so we can see it has been added by Google and it has expiry also. Like this is today date and this is the time in I think in different time zone, maybe UTC. So this is the username and the expires on also it is has written, and this is the key added by Google. You can see, and we can find the same key will be added into our metadata also, like instance metadata. And if I go back to my VM and let's go inside our test VM and let's see. And if we come down and we will see the same thing again. We can see there are keys here, and if I do control F control V and we can see this is the key available in our instance metadata. So that's why it is called metadata keys, because Google will use update the metadata first of all in our instance configuration, and from here that Google will use like create a user from in our Linux VM. So it will use this username and also save the keys in that location, like this location cat.ssh.authorized keys. So if I try to like if I close this session and try to reconnect after 5 minutes, so it will create a new key pair to log in into this VM. So like as of now I have it is showing two keys. So let's go to my admin account and I will do the same thing. I will try to log in from here also. So we will see that it will create another key pair for this user. So let's click on SSH. So I have logged into my VM from my different account. So if I go here and do cat.ssh.authorized key, I have a different key pair here. So this is for my username admin, and this will expire on different date. For every user, it will have a different like home directory. So that's why I'm seeing only my things. I cannot see like test user one what is, he has the public key. I can do that, but this is what we have done. So if I copy this and go to my VM here, but here I can see all that four keys like for the test one also and for the admin one also. So let's come down and we can see this now admin has been added, and if I can do control F control V, I can see this is the key. So this is a different key for test user and for me a different key. So basically if you try to create a connection via console, it will create two key, like one is the ECDSA and one is RSA1. So maybe it depends upon Linux version also, which it support different keys sometimes. So because of that, it create two type of keys for only for this specific like cloud console only. It will not do this for that cloud shell. So this is the cloud console, all these things, and that your public and private key will also store in the browser session, and it will be automatically deleted after 5 minutes. So if I wait 5 minutes and try to reconnect, basically it will update the key here. Here it will be the new key pair, and the same will be updated here also in my VM. So that's for the cloud console. So now let's move to different second option, that is cloud shell. How cloud shell is different from cloud console. So I will let me log into my cloud shell and we will carry on from there. I have logged into my cloud shell. Now let's try to log into the VM from cloud shell and see how it is different. So I will run the command like gcloud compute ssh, and after that I have to provide my VM name, and after that zone name, and zone name is this Asia South 1 B, and after that we have to provide one more flag, that is tunnel through IAP. So basically it will create a IAP connection. So as like this VM has a public IP, if we don't give this specific flag, it will not create a connection. So but basically it will good if you provide this specific flag, whether your VM has a public IP or private IP, and it will create a secure connection. So if your VM is public IP, it will not create until you give this flag, but if you have a private IP, it will automatically create a connection to IAP. But I will suggest just give this flag, and also you must have IAP permission, as I've told in the starting, the permission which we gave. Now just click on enter. So we can see it is giving some warning. So first of all, it is saying the private SSH key for like G Cloud doesn't exist, and after that it's talking about the public SSH key that it is not available something, and you don't have like you do not have an SSH key for the G Cloud, so it is using SSH keygen, and it will be running to create a key. So it is asking if you want to give any password. This password is basically a password. If you want to give, you can just give a password. It will double security. I am okay without that also. I will click enter, and it has creating some key. So it is trying to update the project SSH metadata. It is getting failed as I don't have project permission. I only have instance permission. So then it tried to update the metadata at the instance level, as we can say, and it is updated and it is updated successfully. After that, it is giving some asking us to wait, and here it will showing that key has been generated. So let's see where it has saved the keys. So basically it has save our key here .ssh directory in the Google Cloud Compute Engine. This is my public key, the private key, and this is my public key. So let's do one thing. Now if we see, we are in the VM, we have logged into the VM, and if I do ls, and let's do here cat.ssh authorized key. Now we will see, we can see this is the key which has been added by our Google Cloud, and it has doesn't have any expiry. It is a permanent key. It is always permanent. And if I go to into my VM, and this is the VM, I think test VM. So previously it is showing two keys, but the timer like 5 minutes has already been gone. So it has removed that keys now because it is of no use, because it has an expiry of 5 minutes. So if I run this command once again, I can see only one key is there, and this is the same key which is available here, like 9M and 9M. So like this, it will create a key, and it will the same key will be updated into my VM also. If I go to VM instance, the same key will be shown. So I will show you that also for your understanding. So if I come down and if I see there is only one key, this is the test user, and this is the key like 9M1, same key. Now let's do one thing, exit from this VM and clear. We have exited. Let's do the clear the screen, and I will show you do ls. So I'm in the .ssh directory, and you can see there are two keys. It has been created by Google, and these are the permanent keys, public and private key pair. So let's do cat for my public key dot pub. So this is dot 9M. We are seeing the this value again. So 9M also here. So this is the same key which has been copied to our VM also, and this is my private key. Let's do a private key also, and this is my private key. I will delete this key after that, not an issue, just I'm showing you, and that's all. And after that I will create a connection to my different VM, so that VM also will use the same key only. It will not create a new key now. So I will try to log into this VM. So let's run the same let's G Cloud compute SSH, and after hyphen zone, and this is my zone. So in this, if I don't give tunnel through IAP, it will work automatically because I have a private IP. Let me show you. Let me click on enter. So it will automatically show using like IP. So we can see external IP not found, default to using IP tunneling. So let's see, it will log into the VM, and we can see something here also. Updating project metadata, because I don't have permission. I will show you how what will happen if we have permission. Instance metadata, it is updating, and update done, waiting for SSH key. It has find SSH key, and we are in the VM. So VM in the first project, and if I do ls, and after that I do cat.ssh.authorized keys, so we can see here also 9M is there, the same key. So it will use the same key to log in now every VM which we create. So that's the main thing which I want to show you, difference between Cloud Console and Cloud Shell. And for that metadata one which I'm talking about, so let me go to my uh, main account, that is my admin account, and let's I will try to log in from here also, and I will show you what is difference between project metadata and instance metadata. So if we have proper permissions, what will happen? Let me try to log in here. G Cloud Compute SSH. I'll run this command. So this user also don't have this private or public key pair, so it will do creating the same for here also. Let me click this enter, and here we can see updating project metadata. It is working on that. Let's see whether it's done or not, because in this project I'm the owner, so I have all the permissions. So basically it will update the project metadata here instead of instance metadata. So we can see project metadata has been updated. It is not updated instance metadata here, and we have in the VM. And if I do cat .ssh authorized keys, I can see this is the new key. So if I go to now metadata here, this is the metadata, and I will go to SSH keys. I can see my username, and this is the key 058 05 like 058 058. So it has updated the key in the metadata instance in the like instead in the VM. So if I go to my VM instance, and if I go to this specific VM, so if I come down and I will see there is only one key it is showing for test user, but for the admin user, the key has been saved in the like project metadata. So what will happen with this key? I can like log into any VM, but is the key has been written. But the main use of metadata will come in the third-party tools. That is the main where we will see how metadata will create a difference. Here is okay if we don't update the key in the metadata also, we can log in because it will update the key in the instance metadata. So now I will show you one more thing. Let's go back here in my test user. Suppose someone came, or only maybe you have deleted your key by mistake. So let me delete my public private key. Suppose I have deleted my private key. So if I try to log in, let's see what will happen. So if I run this command once again, and so it will give an error. First of all, it will say private key not found. Basically, we have deleted that key, and public key okay. So it is asking we are going to overwrite all the above files. Are you like okay to continue? So don't have any other option. So I say okay, I'm okay to continue with that. So it will create a new key pair, and it is asking to enter me passphrase. I'm not required. That is for me, and done. Like project metadata field, not an issue. It is updating in the instance metadata, and all thing has been done, and soon we will log into the VM. We can say we in the VM, and if I do now cat.ssh like authorized keys, so I can see two key will be there added by for this specific account. One key which has been deleted, this 9m, which I've is no of no use, and this is the new key KQ0. And if I exit from the VM and cat uh, Google Compute Engine .pub, so this is the key which is now available, and the same key here. And if I go to my VM also, like if I, so I can see two keys, one for test, the previous key which is based now of no use, and this is the new key which it has been added. So this is how we can use Cloud Shell. So it will create a persistent key pair. It will never like expires. So make sure you save your key. Like don't like by mistake commit that key or to GitLab or GitHub. So maybe anyone can use that key, but so it can be a like compromise. Your security can be compromised. So make sure key will be saved in specific location only. Now we will see how to we can use third-party tools and how it is now different from this. So this is my Linux machine which is installed in my in my laptop. So I will try to create a connection from here first. Then I will show how to create a connection from PuTTY also. So let's go. We have first of all we can use like this SSH keygen, and this is the command I've shared in the PPT also. You can refer here. Like this is the command I'm going to use. So SSH keygen -t RSA. After that hyphen f means file name, and this is the location I want to use dot ssh. After that key file name, like which file I want to give a name. So let's give test user. Okay, and after that we can give -c, and this is also use hyphen c means username we have to give. So I will give a test user. Suppose you have a third party user who want to log into a VM. So let's give him like third party, so that it will So here we have to use capital C and click on enter. So we can see it is creating a public private key pair. It is asking for a passphrase, the same thing which we have shown before. Enter and key has been created, and this is the location where key is there. So let's go to .ssh and do ls. So we can see there's two test user.pub and test user. So if we do test user.pub, we can see this is our public key. So now what we have to do, we have to just copy this public key. Let's copy, and I think it is copied, and let's go to our VM. And now we have two options, whether we can put this public key in our project metadata or instance metadata. If you put in project metadata, so that person can log in into any VM in that whole project, and if you put in instance metadata, so that person can log in at specific VM only. So I will show you first of all how we can do with let's go to metadata and put in project metadata. Click on edit, click on SSH keys, click on add, and just let's go back. We have to use full name, like you have to copy this full so that our username will also copy. So that's done, and I will I will click on save. So our key has been saved. This is my third party, as you can see. So now let's do one thing. Let's go to my VM instances. So now I suppose I want to log into this VM. So I will copy this IP. Let's go to my Ubuntu and I will do one thing. SSH-I, and I will provide my here like private key. So that is my test user, and after that I have to provide that user. This is third party, and at the rate and my VM IP. So I will click on enter, and we can see it is doing nothing. It has been stopped. This is because uh, I have only allowed IAP range in my firewall rules. So, if allow connection from my specific laptop, I have to first of all like create a rule of the public IP of my machine. So I will do one thing. Go here and I will click on what is my IP address. So public IP address, I will found my IP address. This is my IP address as of now. I will go here and I will come here and I will just update the firewall rule which I have created previously. This is the allow SSH firewall rule which I have created previously. I will come here, click on edit, and I will just provide my public IP. So sorry, and just click on save. So basically, if you are using Cloud VPN or Cloud Interconnect, then this step is not required because you already have a connection. Just maybe your the private IP range must be allowed in your firewall rules. That's okay, but I don't have VPN and all that, so that's why I need to whitelist my public IP. And I will go here and I will retry the connection once. So it is asking whether you trust the host. I trust. I will click on yes, and I'm logging into my VM. This is the it has created new user, third party. I can do ls all that, and I can do sudo also, sudo su. And if I go back cd and do ls, I can see all that directories like third party. This is my test user. This is my admin6 user. I can go in this account also. So as of now, I don't have proper permission defined. That's why I'm trying to do this all things. But if I have a proper permission, any Linux admin is doing these all things, so I cannot do anything in another person account. But still, I'm not able to see do anything. That's okay. Now let's come back to my third party account. So I'm back here. So like this I can log in to my VMs. So basically if I try to log in this VM, another VM, that is my, so if I want to this VM I want trying to log in, I cannot log in. So basically I can do a bastion host also. Like I can create this VM as a bastion host. I will log into this VM, then from this VM I can create a connection to this VM. That will also work. So now let's do last one. I will enable public IP on this VM, then I will show you what the role of that specific project metadata and instance metadata. So this is the public IP for my this VM. So now let's go back to console, and if I try to connect to this VM, so it will ask me if you want it like this. I am able to log into this VM also, as you can see. Now suppose what will happen, there is a requirement that the person will be allowed to access only this VM. This VM he cannot access even if he have add the SSH keys into the project metadata. Suppose there are thousands of VM. For some VMs are that is very critical, and in which There some applications are running which cannot be accessed by outside person. So what you can do, just come into your VM and click on edit button, and you have to just come down and there's an option to block this thing, and let's find out where it is. And this is the option, project, like block project wide SSH keys. Just click on this and just click on save. So what will happen now, no one can log in this VM until we add that this metadata or SSH key inside this specific VM, like separately. So if you have added the keys at the project metadata, then there's a possibility that you can log into any VM. But if you enable this option, then only keys which has been added into instance metadata, like basically here, like here, that can only log into this VM. Now if we go back and try to log in again into this VM, let's see, we can see the public denied, like, oh sorry, we can see permission denied. It is just giving permission denied, no other things. So now what we can do, suppose we want to log in into this VM, you can just copy this key into his instance metadata. So I will do the same. I will just copy this key and I will go here and click on edit, and I will come down and I will click here, click and add an item, and I will just paste the key and click on save. Once I will save, it will saved. I can log into this VM. So that's the thing of project metadata, instance metadata, and this is very important thing. Block project wide SSH keys. You can give this specific thing at that metadata level also. So there are multiple metadata you can give at a project or instance. This depends on you, how in your organization how you want to do all these things. So now if I try to make a connection, let's do this and we are logged in. So this is very simple thing I want to show you. Now I will show you putty also. Let's give me a minute. So now I will show you how to we can use putty also. So let me copy this public IP and I will go here and just paste this public IP. Go to authentication and the credentials. So basically it requires .ppk file like putty, but we don't have that file. Let's see whether it works or not. We will click on browse and give me a second. So this is the file which we have created before, test user, that is my private key. So let's try whether it works or not. Click on open and it will asking, it is already showing that it is a old PM format. Let's put our username, that is third party, and let's see whether it allows or not. So basically it is not working. So we have two options now, whether we can convert this key that is not working into that .ppk format. So let's do that. For that we need puttygen. So what will I do? I will click on load and I will just load my key. Give me a second. All files, I will just click on test user. This is my private key. I will just load here and will say it is successfully imported this key, and I have to save this key so that it can be in like in the new format which putty supports. I will say okay. In the here I have to provide my name, the username. So let's give third party, which is basically we are using, and I will click on save key. It is saying without a passphrase. I will say okay, yeah, and I will give a name. Say let's say third party only so that we can remember. I will click on save. Now if I try to create a new connection, if I go here and I will provide my public IP, I will go here SSH under authentication credentials. If you are this is new putty, if you are old version, it will show that option here only to add the private key. So I will click on browse and this is my key. I will click on open. It will ask the username. I will provide third party and we are able to log in. As you can see, I am in that console of third party in the VM. So like this you can use the same key, just convert in the putty format, or one more option is there. I will close this, sorry. Even you can generate a key also, like if you don't have a Linux VM running or you don't have option, just click on generate, download this putty generator, and you have to move the cursor here like this. And so what will happen, it is generating a random key with the help of cursor moving. So it has been generated, just provide a name here. So let's give it putty user and I will save my private key. It Here it is. Let's give putty user. The name is putty user, and I will copy this key. You can save public key also in your desktop. Just I will go to metadata, click on edit. I will click on add items and just save this new key. It's being added here. I will go to VM instance, copy this public IP once again, open a new putty connection, provide my IP here. Even you can provide putty user at the rate, that also works. I will go to authentication, credentials, browse my file. This is the putty user, and I will click on open. I will log in as putty user, and I'm in the VM. You can see that it has created a directory putty user for me. Like this, I can do anything, and let me create a new connection session also, and I will show you one more thing. So if I try to create a connection, as you know, I've enabled block project wide SSH keys. If I try to create a connection for this VM, let's see it works or not. And I will go to SSH authentication credentials, browse, see the user, and let's see, and just provide my key, putty user. So we can see it has refused our key. So if we want to connect this VM, I have to add my key inside this VM because we have enabled block project by SSH keys. So like this, you can do login into VMs. Like I've showed all the methods which are available to log into your VM. I'm using public IP to connect because I don't have a VPN or internet. But in your organization, I think VPN or internet must be there. So basically, uh, you don't need a public IP. Just create a connection to a private IP. Just make sure that your machine IP is enabled or whitelisted in the Google Cloud Firewall rules so that you create a connection, and never commit your keys over GitHub or any source repository. It is very private thing. Just let's kept it private and safe. That's all from this video. I hope you like this video or you get to know something new. And if you have any issues, comment down. I will try to help you. I will drop my email ID also. If you have any issue, just drop an email. We can connect and see if I can help you. Thank you very much.